Today we're really going to try and cut through the noise on, a deeply impactful event that's recently shaken northern Pakistan.
That's right.
Our source material is some powerful excerpts titled Swat Valley Floods, Tragedy and Rescue in Pakistan. And our mission really is to unpack the devastation, look at the truly remarkable rescue efforts, and importantly, try to understand the broader context. Why does this keep happening?
Okay, let's dive in. It's a tragedy that has, once again struck northern Pakistan. The initial reports coming out painted just a harrowing picture. 11 people dead, 6 injured. This was across the Swat and Malakand districts of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, KP, as it's often called.
Right, KP.
And these weren't just statistics. These were actual families, neighbors, sons, daughters, just swept away in seconds. It's a gut-wrenching way to start.
It truly is. And I think what's crucial to understand here, especially with these kinds of floods, is their nature, their flash flows.
So while communities there might know about river swelling, these events, they strike with such brutal speed, almost unimaginable, really. They just transform calm rivers into these raging torrents in moments, drowning villages, cutting off whole communities. There's very little time to escape.
So that explains the immediacy, the severity of it.
Exactly. That's why the impact was so sudden and so severe.
And the human toll of that suddenness, it's agonizing. We heard those reports, didn't we? A group of 16 people just gone, vanished into the Swat River early Friday morning.
Vanished, yeah.
Then, as the sun came up, rescue workers found 9 bodies. And incredibly, they pulled 3 people alive from that churning water.
Amazing they found survivors in that.
It really is. But that still left 4 people missing. And that number, that carries such an agonizing weight for the families just waiting, hoping.
Absolutely. And if we zoom out just a bit, look at the larger picture. The sheer scale of people trapped during the flooding was huge.
How many are we talking about?
Reports indicated a staggering 120 individuals in immediate danger trapped.
120. Wow.
Yeah. But, amidst that horror, there is this powerful story of resilience, of collective effort.
Okay.
Because out of those 120, an incredible 107 were successfully rescued. Various operations, mostly spearheaded by the SWAT rescue teams.
107 rescued?
Yeah.
That's actually astounding. How did they even begin to coordinate something like that amidst all that chaos?
It's hard to fathom, really.
I mean, I read some of the descriptions from the ground, and they're difficult to even picture. People scrambling onto trees, on rooftops, entire families apparently holding hands as the water just rises around them, crying for help. It's
just desperate scene.
And the physical damage, too, just as stark. At least 56 houses damaged or completely destroyed by the floodwaters.
Yeah.
And that's just in Swat.
Just in Swat, initially reported.
Yeah. So against this backdrop, this immense loss, the uncertainty, there's this other story unfolding, one of, profound courage from the responders on the front line.
Yeah.
Rescue 1,122 teams. That's Pakistan's main emergency service.
Yeah, that's the one, vital service.
They've just been working nonstop. The report said over 120 personnel deployed right into that treacherous terrain.
Dangerous.
Using everything they boats, ropes, even heavy equipment. Just desperately trying to find the missing, evacuate those still stranded.
Yeah, their bravery, it really can't be overstated. And we saw some very concrete examples of their success, didn't we?
Like what?
Well, boats pulling dozens of survivors out of places like Imam Tirai. Over 22 people rescued there in just one single remarkable effort.
22 in one go. Incredible.
And then in Bar Bamakela, another 20 to 30 people were brought to safety. These were rare moments of real, tangible relief in a day just filled with grief.
It gives you some hope amidst it.
It does, but it's not over, of course. In Manyar, rescue teams are, as far as we know, still trying to reach 7 people stranded. Still trapped. And 1 person remains trapped in Panjagram village. Teams are working around the clock. And the search, it continues in these really heartbreaking ways in remote spots, like in Garadarai and Galaji. That's where some bodies were eventually recovered. It's a painful process.
A painful, ongoing search. Now, as these heroic, boots-on-the-ground efforts were continuing, the spotlight, inevitably perhaps, turned towards official accountability.
It often does.
And it seems the government has started to take some disciplinary action.
That's right. Following reports of, mismanagement, The Chief Secretary of KP suspended several senior officers.
Who is it?
The additional Deputy Commissioner for Relief and Swat, and the Assistant Commissioners of Babuzai and Kwazakala. They were suspended under efficiency and discipline rules, citing specifically the mishandling of the crisis.
So a clear signal being sent from the top there.
It seems so, and alongside that, the authorities were also focused on, prevention, trying to get ahead of worsening conditions. A flood alert was issued in Charsada by the Deputy Commissioner there.
Because things were getting worse.
Yeah, the data was critical. The river Swat's water discharge up at Kwazakila, it surged to over 77,000 cusecs.
77,000. What does that mean in practical terms?
It means cubic feet per second. It's an immense volume of water. And it officially put the region in the very high flood category. That's a serious warning level.
Okay.
So officials used mosque loudspeakers, urging people move to higher ground, warning of more rain, dangerous currents. And monitoring efforts, especially down at Munda Headworks, are ongoing, tracking those water levels closely to anticipate risks downstream.
Right, trying to manage the ongoing threat. Okay, so we've walked through the immediate aftermath, the rescues, the official response. What does this all mean when we kind of zoom out, look at the bigger picture? Pakistan has tragically become almost, familiar with these devastating floods.
Yeah, no stranger to them, sadly.
It feels like this heartbreaking cycle just repeats.
And here's, I think, the critical takeaway, and it goes beyond just the natural event itself. While these floods are obviously driven by nature, heavy rains, and so on, their devastating impact in Pakistan is profoundly made worse by human factors.
Human factors like what?
Well, we're talking about chronic poor planning, fragile infrastructure that just can't cope with these kinds of surges, unchecked deforestation, which increases runoff significantly, and just a severe lack of adequate flood defenses in many areas.
So a combination of things.
Exactly. These factors pile up and they worsen the damage year after year after year, and the consequences, they're dire. Families left homeless, livelihoods just swept away, and innocent lives like the 11 lost, just now gone forever.
So these stories, they're not just news reports popping up. They're really stark reminders, aren't they?
Yeah.
Of how vulnerable communities become when climate impacts intersect with human carelessness, maybe? Or systemic failings?
Precisely. And this brings us to a really fundamental question. It's not just about the amount of rain that falls, is it? It's about the resilience, or maybe the lack of resilience of the systems, the safeguards that are, or perhaps should be, in place to manage it all.
Right. As we start to wrap up this deep dive into the Swat Valley floods, tragedy and rescue in Pakistan, we've really seen this profound mix, haven't we? Tragedy and, incredible human resilience side by side.
Definitely.
From that immediate shock of the flash floods to the sheer heroism of the rescue teams and then the complexities of the official response. It just encapsulates so much about the human spirit in crisis.
Absolutely. We mourn those who are lost. We still hold out hope for those missing. And we have to recognize the immense bravery of those people who risked everything to rescue others. It's just such a stark illustration of how natural forces, when they combine with these systemic vulnerabilities, they create such immense suffering.
Yeah. And the source material, it leaves us with this powerful, almost haunting thought at the end. It says, we hope that this time lessons will be learned, because if nothing changes, these stories will keep repeating.
The sobering thought.
It really is. So, considering everything we've discussed, the devastating impact, the human factors making it worse, what do you, listening now, believe is the single most critical lesson? The one thing communities and leaders absolutely must take away from this tragedy if we're ever going to break this cycle.